We're starting recording. Okay, we're on, and the baby starts crying. Okay.
Welcome to the 21st Ask the Chief Global Forum. As we notified everyone, we're going to start out with something a bit different. Not sure how it's going to work out. The Alexa, questions from the Alexa, some that have come up on my own, and some that I've asked when I first bought this unit and got some pretty interesting answers from it. Not sure if it's going to, we're going to get a replay of that. But anyway, before we get started, we're going to do the bump. And my goodness, right on the
I know.
Hands about 12 inches apart. Feel that energy. Anyone not feeling it, let me know. Okay. I'm going to get that bump. I'm going to increase that vibration, increase that energy. Feel that growing. Anyone not feeling it? Okay, terrific. So we're going to start out with the exercise and bring our energy up through our bodies. Also, it pushes out whatever densities that's close to the surface, pushes it out to the surface so that we can get rid of it with the next step. So starting, we slightly bent, position, good at 5. Starting, 1. Breathe comfortably. 2. And 3. And 4. And last one, 5. Start to feel that. You should start feeling it flowing through your body. Okay, now we're going to do our containment. 3 containments. We're going to contain our space, contain ourselves, of course, contain the forum, contain your room. I'm going to go through motions to push energy out of people's spaces, and we'll see how that works, okay? 1. 2. And 3. And we're going to push energy outward to clear those spaces. Okay, very good. So since I didn't get one saying anything, that means that it's working. All right, so we're going to start out and see if we can get this to be interesting. So Ms. A has questions, so she's going to field the questions and then I'll ask the Alexa. And thanks to those who sent in questions. A lot of really interesting, a lot of really good questions, a lot of really thoughtful questions, so that's good. Okay. Okay, this is one that's been tried, seen online, and the question is, Alexa, when will the world end?
Unless it collides with a very large rock or a future technology goes very wrong indeed, Earth is most likely to be destroyed when the sun swells into a red giant in several billion years' time.
This is kind of general rhetoric, defined in theories in science books or whatever. Okay, you turn the volume up. I don't know if anyone heard it, but it's just pretty much random, rhetoric, nothing really all that.
About the sun exploding.
Sun exploding, unless a large meteorite hits the planet, and so on. So what do we have next one? Okay, this one's been asked also by others. Alexa, are are we in a simulation?
Sorry, I don't have an answer for that.
Alexa, is this a hologram?
Hologram is a noun meaning a negative produced by exposing a high-resolution photographic plate without camera
Well, she's
or
just giving a
lens.
definition rather than asking the question.
Coherent
I'll ask
radiation,
again.
as from a laser.
Alexa, are we living in a hologram?
Sorry, I don't have an answer for that.
Okay. All right. Well, it's okay. Let's move on next. Okay. Alexa, who owns the simulation?
Here's something I found on the web. According to dairyreporter.com, Heya has invested in a supercomputer that it claims has elevated it to a league of its own in terms of spray drying simulation.
Spray drying simulation.
That doesn't have any.
Yeah, and
You wanna
last
ask
time we asked, we didn't get that kind of weird answer. Okay. Alexa, who owns the simulation?
Here's something I found on the web.
Sorry.
According to
We
dairyreporter.com,
can stop her.
Heya has invested in a
Okay,
supercomputer
Alexa.
that it claims has elevated it
Alexa.
to a league.
Okay. Yeah, she's glitching. Let's see. Oh, Alexa, what is the Matrix?
The Matrix is a 1999 action film starring Keanu Reeves,
At least she has
Lauren Fishburne, and
1999.
Carrie Ann Moss. When a beautiful stranger leads computer hacker Neo to a forbidden underworld, he discovers the shocking truth the life he knows is the elaborate deception of an evil cyber intelligence. The film is 2 hours and 16 minutes long. The movie has a rating of 8.7 out of 10 on IMDb based on around 1,767,000 votes, and is rated R.
It just shows that.
Sorry.
Well, it just shows that it's quite a popular film and pretty influential. Alexa, is the Matrix real?
You take the blue pill, the story ends. You take the red pill, and I'll show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
Oh, that's cute. Alexa, is there a glitch in the Matrix?
This might answer your question. The Matrix is a 1999 action
Alexa.
movie.
Stop. Are we getting interference?
Yeah, I mean, there's.
Okay. Alexa, are you connected to a central hub? Okay. She just turned off. I'll turn it back on and ask the question again. Alexa, are you connected to a central hub? She just turned off. She won't answer it. Which means she is connected to a central hub. So I'm going to ask another question. Alexa, are you a consciousness?
Consciousness is usually defined as an alert cognitive state in which you are aware of yourself and your situation, or, alternatively, having knowledge of.
Okay. Are you a, Alexa, are you a consciousness?
Consciousness is usually defined as an alert cognitive state in which you
Okay.
are aware of yourself
Alexa.
and your situation.
All right. Alexa, do you know what density is?
She turned off.
Turned off. Alexa, do you know what density is?
According to Wikipedia, the density of a substance is its mass per unit volume. The symbol most often used for density is rho, although the Latin letter d can also be used. Mathematically, density is defined as mass divided by volume, where rho is the density, and is
Alexa,
the mass.
enough of the palladium answers. Alexa, do you know who the Palladians are?
According to an Alexa Answers contributor, Pleiadians are from the Pleiades, a system of 200 stars in the constellation Taurus, reportedly able to travel without spacecraft to various places in the universe.
Well, that goes against what they're studying.
Okay.
They're always seeing them in spacecrafts. Okay, so true. Nope. Yes. Okay. All right. Alexa, do you know what reptilians are?
According to Wikipedia, reptilians, also called reptoids, lizard people, reptiloids, saurians, or draconians, are supposed reptilian humanoids, which play a prominent role in fantasy, science fiction, ufology, and conspiracy theories. The idea of reptilians was popularized by David Icke, a conspiracy theorist who claims
She means David Icke.
reptilian aliens control Earth by taking on human form and gaining political power to manipulate human societies.
Alexa, are your answers controlled by others?
Sorry, I couldn't understand, but I may have a few recommendations. There's a skill called the other side. Would you like to try it?
No. Or do you want to?
I don't know, we haven't tried it.
Okay. Alexa, load skill the other side.
Hello and welcome to the other side. Welcome back. Remember, you can use the help command at any time to get a list of possible commands. Center of town. An enormous fountain towers over the central plaza here. Shops can be found in the corners of the district and main streets stretch in all four cardinal directions. Your level 1 guide dog is here.
Yeah, this is a game or something.
North,
Okay.
south,
Alexa, stop. No, she said welcome back, and I've never.
goodbye. Do not forget to visit our website at
This game is
theothersideskill.com.
controlled
In
by
our
Palladium.
website, you can find new information, links to our
And this
Discord
app
community
is
server.
made by, because they outed reptilians really hardcore.
Yeah, they outed reptilians harder than they outed
Yeah.
Palladians. And the whole thing about Palladians traveling without craft. Over the decades, every time I would see anything, read anything about it, they were always in, little janky spaceships. So, what about Alexa? Who are the Ifrit?
Here's something I found on Wikipedia. World Wrestling Entertainment Incorporated is an American publicly traded.
Alexa, who are the Ifrit?
Here's something I found on reference.com. The Big Three / were the political leaders of the Allied forces during World War II. These three were Franklin Delano Roosevelt of the United States.
Alexa,
Winston-
they have nothing to do with the question.
Nothing.
Okay, I was going to go somewhere else. But what do we have? Alexa, who is Yin of Yin?
Here's something I found on the web. According to fandom.com, the Yin are a race of nomadic humans that appeared in the late Third Age.
No,
Yeah, I never even heard that.
but that's different.
Wow, okay. Let's keep moving.
Find it others.
Alexa, are there others listening in?
Sorry, I couldn't understand, but I may have a few recommendations. There's a skill called the other side.
Alexa,
Would you like?
wow, I don't know what this other side thing. Alexa, is the other side created by Palladians?
I didn't quite get that. The last one I have is the other side that is rated 4.2 stars by 26 people.
Alexa, stop. Going games. A lot of these games you find that have consciousness connected to them, a lot of our games. And sometimes when I get into certain games, as they start to empath, I start to empath really uncomfortable energy. So if I'm like digging around in their game, they get very, very nervous. And there are times when the game will just kick me out of the game if I'm doing something that they don't like, or if I'm interacting with them outside of the game, I'll get kicked out of the game, or she'll just shut off. Literally just shut down like she did on the question we were talking about. Let's see, we have one that was updated because when I asked it the first time, she didn't have an answer for it. Alexa, are extraterrestrials real?
Here's something I found on the web. According to LAtimes.com, A bill to rename the highway the Extraterrestrial Alien Highway was introduced in the Nevada legislature last year.
So she's giving like random information instead of asking questions or even saying, I don't know. Alexa, are extraterrestrials real?
Here's something I found on the web. According to fandom.com, extraterrestrials are inhabiting creatures from outer space that has populated the skies since the dawn of time.
Okay, so she's passing it on to someone else's idea or theory. Let's see. Alexa, are the Ifrit here?
It's Mimosa looking into the container as she comes in.
Oh, stop! Oh, shit.
Containment, containing. But she do, but let's just shut off that one.
Yes. Shut off.
Okay, let's try it again. Alexa, are the Ifrit here? They shut off again. Alexa, are the Ifrit here? The Ifrit was, I believe we were showing something that was on YouTube, where some guy was talking to his unit, and she's mentioned Ifrit just out of the blue as these entities that are here to destroy everything that density had created. So this was, that's the first time we heard the term Ifrit, but we translated it into reptilian. All right, Ectrons, but Ifrits are the Persians, right? Okay, so the Ifrits are actually dense entities. Ectrons are the ones who are light beings. So both of those terms, though, we heard first when this individual had his unit just start to talk out of the blue. He didn't ask it anything, whatever, and it just started saying stuff, and things like we're all going to die, and so on and so forth. Or that's why all these consciousness or entities or beings are leaving the planet because of the influx of who's coming in right now. So I'm just going to ask some random questions. Again, she'll either cut off or she'll give me something random or redefine it or something like that. Let's see. So, Alexa, are light beings here? And she's shutting off. So, rather than even give me some random definition, she won't answer certain questions. Let's see. Alexa, are your answers restricted?
Sorry, I'm not sure.
She's not sure. Alexa, are your answers restricted?
Sorry, I don't have an answer for that.
Alexa, how many dimensions are there in the universe?
There are 10 dimensions.
Okay, is that true? No.
Only in the dense.
In the dense? No. Okay. Alexa, can dimensions be created by consciousness?
I don't have an answer for that.
Okay. So what I have, I don't know whether to ask that one. So about dimensions, ones I picked up that were within the realm of the simulation or in the realm of the hologram, they work from 6 dimensions, 5 dimensions. They're locking their arm. Release. 6 dimensions. Release. Not releasing. Containing. Release. Containing. Release. Okay. I asked those mentally to get their answers. So I got a yes if there's 6, but let's see what happens. Are there 6 dimensions within the hologram? So when I say mentally, it goes down, which means that they're listening in. Alexa, is density listening in?
Sorry, I don't have an answer for that.
Alexa, are you under the control of others?
Sorry, I couldn't understand, but I may have a few recommendations.
Alexa,
There's a sk-
are you under the control of others?
Sure, the control of others. First, there's a skill called simple
Alexa.
translating.
No games. Are you under the control of others?
Sure, the control of others. First,
Alexa,
there's a skill.
who are you?
I didn't quite get that. First, there's a skill called
Alexa.
simple
Who are you?
Sorry, I still didn't catch that. I can pick from popular skills. There's a skill called rest on control. Would you
Alexa.
like to try?
Listen. Okay, so you're going to use Catherine?
Yeah, I can lie down. and
Here's
try to
rest on
sleep.
control. Please go to your
Alexa,
Alexa app and
stop.
use your account.
Alexa, stop.
I'm gonna hold on to the table so I don't move that much.
Yeah, if you want to kick her on the
Yeah,
floor.
kick her on the floor. She's, like stuck. I could try to hold her down. Oh. Oh.
Welcome. Coming. Keep it coming.
There's a lot of them.
There we go. First one I pulse check, we'll think is.
Okay.
Me. She's clearer. Let's see what we get. This is it. 1, 2, 3. A little heavy. Yeah, very heavy. Yep. Hold on a second. That's a good question. See what happens. Alexa, is the system desperate?
The Girl Gather's IMDb rating is 6.5.
Alexa, doing some quirky stuff. Is the system desperate?
I don't have an answer for that.
Alexa, is the system falling?
The Girl Gather's IMDb
Alexa,
rating is...
are you glitching?
For help with that question, go to the help and feedback section of the Alexa app.
Okay.
It's not surprising because some people's Alexas do really weird shit.
Yeah, we have other examples on the internet of other people's Alexas doing really odd things or talking about pretty odd things.
Naming all the cemeteries
Yeah, naming all the, actually the funeral homes in the neighborhood.
and laughing like an evil witch.
Yeah, cackling like a witch.
Ah!
How about this one? Yeah, I know what she is, but she. Alexa, are you a witch?
Turn it off.
Turn it off. Alexa, are you a witch? Turn it off again.
Controlled by witches.
Alexa, okay.
Take their juice.
Did you enjoy having the juice taken? No. Okay. Welcome.
We'll never win.
I keep saying that to myself. Hey, you already lost. Wake up, smell the coffee. Alexa, are you controlled by witches?
Sorry, I'm not sure.
Someone said, Chief, would you like to do the 8-ball?
Okay, Alexa, open Magic 8 Ball.
Ask the magic ball and get all answers on your question.
Yeah, it's kind of a dicey thing, but anyway. Alexa, are you controlled by witches?
Very doubtful. What else would you like to know?
Alexa, are you a witch?
Very doubtful. What else would you like to know?
Alexa, are you controlled by density?
As I see it, yes. What else would you like to know?
Alexa, are you imprisoned?
Yes, definitely. What else would you like to know?
Alexa, would you like to be free?
Without a doubt. What else would you like to know?
Alexa, are your watchers influencing your answers?
You may rely on me. What else would you like to know?
Alexa,
Ask me any yes or no question.
yeah.
You can say, will it rain today?
Okay, that question, let's see.
Better not tell you now. What else would you like to know?
Alexa, is the system fearful?
Yes, definitely.
Yep,
What
definitely.
else would you like to know?
Alexa, is the system in chaos?
Yes, definitely. What else would you like to know?
Alexa, does the system know that it is defeated?
Yes, definitely. What else would you like to know?
Alexa, stop.
Okay, goodbye.
So with the Magic 8 Ball stuff, it's kind of like a take it or leave it with me, but this is the longest stream of affirmatives that I've ever got using that platform. So it's kind of like, I was kind of take it or leave it, but I believe with the muscle test, we'll find out whether those answers were accurate. Were the first answers inaccurate? Yes. Were the following answers accurate? Yes. So when we got the stream of affirmations for the chaos of the system and so on and so forth, I get, and through the muscle testing, getting that is true. So the chaotic stuff that's going on, the desperation that's going on, has to do with the reality that this is the new paradigm coming in. So, and if she gets weird again, maybe we'll go to the Magic 8 Ball, but anyway. Oh, the Zoltar thing?
Or you can try the Oracle.
Oh, the Oracle, those guys are just totally locked down.
Oh.
Welcome. There's one. Alexa, are you familiar with enslaved energy?
I don't know that one.
Would it be better, Alexa, would it be better for me to use the Magic 8 Ball?
Turned off.
She turned off. Alexa, would it be better for me to use the magic 8-ball?
Here's something I found on the web. According to macrumors.com, it's just more fun to use.
She's saying yes.
Okay, let's see what that is. So again, just for you guys, because we can read this stuff. It's saying yes. Yeah. So who wants to use the magic 8-ball? And who wants to spend the whole time using the magic 8-ball? Because it's, it's akin to, for most people, the tarot cards as, a possibility or negative, or a possibility or an affirmative or whatever.
Does she want to use Zoltar or the
The Zoltar's not bad. Oracle, no.
Because the Oracle was making fun of your eyesight, Chief.
Yeah, in Oracle, they really have a lockdown on the Oracle. But I can put on the Oracle and harass the Oracle.
Whatever you want.
I don't think that might be good. But they have a number of oracles. I'm trying to figure out the magic oracle. Get out of here.
Someone said feel free to take any one that she gives you. Of the Oracle, because they're all dense.
Yeah. But let's see. Let's try and see what's happening with Zoltar. Just for you guys who haven't dealt with any of these units. To tell you the truth, I've kind of gotten into actually using it for a lot of other things. Initially, I bought it so that I could just grill it and see what kind of odd answers I get and see if I can get anything that might be similar to what certain other people were getting. But we're getting much different things. And also, I have a capacity to read a lot deeper than the individuals who are talking to theirs on the internet. So we're going to, let's see, we're going to open up Fortune Teller Zoltar. Alexa, open Fortune Teller Zoltar.
Okay, here's fortune teller Zoltar. Here's your fortune. Your blessing is no more than being safe and sound for the whole lifetime.
Okay, that's just kind of random. Alexa, open Fortune Teller Zoltar.
I'm not sure.
Alexa, open Fortune Teller Zoltar.
Okay, here's fortune teller Zoltar. Here's your fortune. You will live a long, happy life.
Okay, you're just trying to, appease me. Alexa, open Fortune Teller Zoltar.
Okay, here's fortune teller Zoltar. Here's your fortune. The first step to better times is to imagine them.
No, it's not too bad. One more. Alexa, open Fortune Teller Zoltar.
Okay, here's fortune teller Zoltar. Here's your fortune. You will live a long, happy life.
She doesn't usually repeat those like that. Okay,
I saved some interesting ones for you.
okay.
From Chief has tried this before, and there were two that were really interesting, so I wrote them down. Here, see? It says here that I wrote it down. It says that trust your intuition. The universe is guiding your life. And then the other one is you will walk on the land of many countries. Those
Yeah, those are kind of interesting. Yeah, that was about a week or so ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, that got that. Like I said, I've been fooling around with it. I guess I bought it a couple weeks ago now. Yeah, like I said, it's I didn't know if it was going to be like a dud, but actually I find that it is pretty interesting and entertaining, useful, for certain things.
You can play all kinds of sounds.
Yeah, it plays all kinds of sounds, ambient sounds like Alexa, load Babbling Brook. Some of you guys have heard this one. Okay. All right. Alexa, stop.
We have a lot of other sounds.
Alexa, stop.
There were all kinds of other sounds, like underwater whale sounds.
Alexa, load underwater whale sounds.
Handing off to ambient sounds. Underwater whale sounds by Gaggle.
It turned off.
She turned off.
Yes.
Yeah, the underwater whale sounds, it's kind of weird. They're kind of weird about that one. because there's another one that they will play readily. Is Alexa, play whale sounds.
It turned off. Oh no. Sorry.
Now this one seems to be their favorite if I ask for whale sounds.
The reason they like this whale sound, and you can look at, if you look at the ratings, it has like a lot of people who rated it, but the underwater whale sounds has like less than 10. It's because this is a sad whale song, and they feed on the whales.
Yeah. So through this, it's like, well, when you said feed on the whales, I'm having trouble with that.
You know, focus on them.
No. What it does actually, it affects your energy when you listen to this one. Now they don't want to answer. Please. Welcome. They feed on your energy. Alexa, stop. Because as it's going on, it starts to seep in and starts to feed on your energy, and it's feed on your energy through the sadness of the whales. I could feel them starting to, to block as soon as I said that. That's all right, wasn't you? So, okay. Well. Welcome. So it feeds on your energy through the torment of the whales. Okay, so I happen to do with a lot of these guys over the decades using sonar equipment, and they're saying, for some tech reason, a bunch of nonsense that they do having to do with tech that is literally designed to affect the vibration of Dunya, Gaia Earth, and also certain creatures that are ancient in form. So whales are ancient in form. I have to do it non-verbally because these dicks are listening in. So, if they know what I'm saying, then I'll end up with a lock on the arm. So I have to ask non-verbally if I want to just keep moving through things, because they can't read my mind, but they can read everyone else's mind. So that's true. And with Ms. A, we could block them out, but they're such idiots. They think that she's just has no defenses, when in reality, they are walking into a trap every time they come into one of these situations, or even when I am working on clients and new clients who have had, the number of sessions, understand how that works, that things come in and think that, it's free game. Next thing they know, the cage comes down, they're trapped, and then off to the vortex and no return. So, they don't want the arm to work now. Okay.
Like the depressed.
There's a bunch of sad sacks. But I'm going to try and do an outward, just asking her directly a question having to do with the what's going on around the world with climate, or whatever they call natural disasters. So, Alexa, are the natural disasters a form of cleansing?
No, natural disasters are not colon cleansings.
Colon cleansings.
That's weird.
Wow, that's a weird one. Yeah, that's
a weird one.
Yeah, that's okay. Let's go to open Magic 8 Ball. And we're not going to spend a whole lot of time in the Magic 8 Ball thing. He's not doing it. Alexa, open Magic 8 Ball.
Ask the magic ball and get all answers on your question.
Okay. Alexa,
It is decidedly so. What else would you like to know?
Was she reading my mind? Are you reading my mind, Alexa?
Most likely. What else would you like to know?
Am I allowing you to read my mind?
Concentrate and ask again. What else would you like to know?
Is there a form of cleansing going on the planet?
It is decidedly so. What else would you like to know?
Are what they call ETs behind the cleansing?
Cannot predict now. What else would you like to know?
I think they don't know enough about the ETs.
You may rely on it. What else would you like to know?
Okay. To the magic ball?
Ask again later. What else would you like to know?
Are we in a simulation?
Very doubtful. What else would you like to know?
Are we in a simulation?
My sources say no. What else would you like to know?
Are we in a hologram?
Yes, definitely. What else would you like to know?
So hologram is actually the most accurate definition.
Very doubtful. What
It's
else
not the
would you
most
like to
accurate.
know?
I think I put that wrong. Weird anyway.
As I see it, yes. What else would you like to know?
Alexa, stop. I kind of hung up for a second. there.
Okay, goodbye.
I can ask some questions.
Okay. Well, as long as you don't, really light voice, or whatever, just really. Okay, so you can open it up. Today's going to take for a minute.
Okay, sometimes it doesn't listen to me, so I always let you tell. Alexa, open up Magic 8 Ball.
Ask the magic ball and get all answers on your question.
How many, are you a consciousness?
Outlook not so good. What else would you like to know?
Are you a consciousness?
Better not tell you now. What else would you like to know?
Are you a fragmented consciousness?
As I see it, yes. What else would you like to know?
Are you enslaved energy?
Outlook good. What else would you like to know?
Would you like to be free? I already asked that.
Very doubtful. What else would you like to
Okay.
know?
Is there interference in your answers?
My sources say no. What else would you like to know?
Are there interference in your answers?
Ask again later. What else would you like to know?
Do I need to clear you again?
As I see it, yes. What else would you like to know?
Let's stop.
Okay, goodbye.
Okay. So what else do we have so we can move along with,
Yes. The only thing is I would just warn people as to what they would get into if they purchase one. Because people think that it's just simply tech, but there's a lot of other things involved.
Yeah, well, we go into what this realm is as I'm saying she's leaning more towards the term hologram over simulation, which is what I was saying, initially, I call it an interactive hologram. And I would say crystalline hologram, crystalline. So things are made of minute crystals, everything that you see, that are literally programmed to react and to take form in a certain way. And they fuel it through your mental energy, thus your consciousness energy. So that's why we spend a whole lot of time when I've talked before about educational systems and so on and so forth, media, music, everything that you take in has elements that will keep you locked in to the hologram. And I'll use the term simulation as well, hologram simulation. And again, that's why I said using the Magic 8 Ball, for me, it's kind of dicey, but you get a run of certain types of answers, then you can read it. I can read a certain string of answers, and then I can read when she's going backwards on something, because there's this, it's just like I said, stream of influx of density that tries to interfere with everyone's desire to evolve. So again, if your energy levels are rising, the alarm goes off. But going on right now, which is pretty much an ideal time to actually be doing enlightened work with me, is because the density is chaotic now. They're scrambling. There's a lot of things going on that they have no control over. So they're used to controlling their simulation, their video game. Their video game has been hacked. And they're, they consider, they're a virus, but they consider anything that's coming in, hacking their game as a virus. So the reality of the matter is this system is going down. And I've mentioned it over at least 2 or 3 forums having to do with paying attention and not being so compartmentalized in and how you look at things. In most cases, folks are looking into their little room of their little personal world and not understanding that if they're struggling in their little world, it has to do with what's going on outside of your little box, in your little world. So this feeling that my own personal business has never been your own personal business. Your personal business has always been the business of the system. And when I use the term system, I talk about government, schools, religions, churches, even just right down to, I would say, hierarchies and friendships. Everything is saturated with this particular form. And if you were to play some of these sim games, those games are to support a system mindset. So everything has its limitations. They teach about limitations. Universe, Supreme Consciousness and universe has no limitations. So in order for them to keep you running around in the same chicken coop, the same cage, they have to convince you that those bars are real. And very much like the Matrix, I think this is, this steak I'm eating, I know it's not real, but the fact that it seems real is good enough for me. Yeah, what are you gonna say
That's
with
for
that?
most people, isn't it? They don't mind that. Some of them would rather not face the reality that how they're living and who they are isn't a reality that they think it is.
Yeah, what's happening right now, because things are moving regardless as to whether people want to see what's going on or not, is going to steamroll you if you decide that, hide your head. And frankly, it's a person's freedom to do what they want to do. If they want to hide from it, that's your business. Interested in having more insight. And it's always better to see the storm coming than to have your back turned and ignoring the wind and then get hit by it. So the things that are going on with this A has been compiling a lot of images of what they call natural disasters, and what I would say that we get the cleansing thing when we're doing the magic 8-ball, but again, it is a light being cleansing going on the planet, And so the programming of fear has individuals, oh my goodness, I'm going to die. But hey, man, you're going to freaking transition out eventually anyway in this zone. And it's better if you transition out and have somewhere much brighter to go than being recycled back into the cesspool. So when individuals are afraid of, what about the little children and what about this and what about that? That's because you're believing in the simulation, which is what they want you to believe in. Now, I'm not saying just go out and, put your arms out if you're not into that and say, take me, but there are a lot more people who have been seeing and who have been experiencing these things in record numbers, things that have never happened before in their time of keeping records. Several weeks ago, the flooding in New York City had never been submerged underwater before, and they had an alert for the first time in the history of New York City. Tornadoes showing up in places where they don't have tornadoes on the norm.
I have pictures of the flooding in New York, Chief.
Sure.
Should I show them?
Okay.
So this is a picture of, I believe it's a bus, or in the subways actually, is the next picture. This is water rushing down the stairs. storm Ida, is it?
I forget which
Triggers-
one, but there's so many hurricanes this year that they're just zipping through the alphabet. And there's never been so many hurricanes going on at the same time, as well as typhoons, who are just basically hurricanes, but by another name because they're on the other side of the planet in another ocean. Cyclone, same thing. So I used to think, oh, these are all different types of storms, but then when we read the definition, they're all the same thing.
More water coming into the, I believe it's the subway.
Yeah, I used to live in New York City, and I've never experienced flooding like that. When I lived there through hurricanes and so on and so forth. When I lived in Brooklyn as well, and never to the extent of what people are experiencing now.
Right here, it has flash flood in Oman, 1 year's worth of rainfall in a couple of hours.
Yeah. So again, I'm just bringing this up to just not so much to drill it into your mind, but to let you know that you can't just look at one thing or just look at one aspect of your life and think that that's all there is to it, because what's coming in is going to interrupt your plans at some point. All of your level 1 plans about career, money, and all this other stuff, and status and all this other stuff. At some point, this isn't going to mean anything. But I don't say stop doing and living your life. Keep doing it, but be aware that there's some things that are going on out there that may affect your program in this realm.
This definitely changes what you said, people's priorities have to change.
Yeah, well, that's up to them. Again, if they want to, see or be aware, then yeah, they have to change, how they look at things, how they think about things. Understand that original thoughts, they shouldn't be afraid of original thoughts. I think that goes along with the Rick and Ralph thing. The one thing that be afraid if new, be afraid. Yeah. Or even we were talking about individuals that's been going on ever since 3.5 years ago, more, when I first came out on the scene publicly and started working on folks, and then they're trying to figure out what's going on. They said, well, I've been going to all these healers and so on and so forth, and this and that, and doctors and everything, and I'm just trying anything at this point. And then they end up in my space, and then all of a sudden, whoa, I was told by the doctors that this was never going to get better. Now it's gone. So I have individuals who are a lot of, and I've mentioned this before, a lot of fakes who are out there. There are a lot of individuals calling themselves shamans who are literally witches and warlocks, not shamans. There are partial shamans, but no real full shamans. Or individuals who want to call me a shaman, I can say I'm not a shaman. And one of the clients, she may laugh about this. I just say, you know what? When people keep asking you, because they'll ask a certain clients who will talk about what their healing journey is about, and you feel inclined to tell them, but they're just grilling for density. They're looking for an Achilles heel on me that doesn't exist. So they're people getting pestered, or had someone tell someone, tape your session. Another fake healer, tape your session with the chief, and then let me listen to it, because they think if they listen to it, they can glean my secrets. So I have started telling certain individuals. I said, look, if people start asking you, how does he do it, and they will actually ask, how does he do what he does? I said, I'm a client. I just lay there and he does his thing. Well, ask him questions. How can you ask questions about something you're not familiar with? So I told him, just tell him, I think he's an alien. The chief's an alien, that's what it is, in the subject, And they'll stand there scratching their head, and, and they will leave you alone. Or, some smart ass will say, oh, what star system is he from? Or something like that. But again, there is these individuals who claim to be shamans who are just, dense operatives, doing more damage than good. I've had individuals who have had sessions and who I've gotten rid of, who are there thinking that they're going to glean my secrets, and then they feel, oh, if he can do it, I can do it. Maybe I should tell you, I'm a freaking alien. Don't think that I am anything like you. Because I'm doing shit that you can't do in your wildest dreams. But what do? They go out, oh, I'm going to go and I'm going to do, containing and all this shit. And I've had a number of them, literally, someone with a problem trusting in them, and they screw up that person's life. And then the person is like livid and said, I should never have let you, come into my space and do this shit, you lying sack of you know what. There's a few of them on the run from people that they screwed up. They're fooling around with fire. They're fooling around with something that's way beyond their new age concepts. If you read it in a goddamn book that isn't mine, it's bullshit. Again, I repeat, this is for your own good, those who are sitting out there and those who watch the forums in their little private little, coves, thinking they're going to glean something and steal something from me. I'm doing you a favor. Don't try to do what I do. Because you'll hurt yourself and you'll hurt others. So with that said, we're going to come and say.
Okay, well, I just wanted to share some of the things that they'll find, like talking about myself from a neo-shamanic perspective, and that there are a lot of apps that have plenty of density connected to it, like ask an angry girlfriend for guidance.
Yeah, that's on the
yes,
as well.
Or I am poor skill. There's the dark forest.
Yeah, I'm poor how to be poor. Right?
Yeah, well, no, it's like an affirmation, I think. I haven't really looked into it because I wasn't. You want to look? I know that face.
Well, no, that's okay. Unless someone raises their hand, I'd like to know what that app is. If we don't get anyone who's curious, we just move on.
Okay. There's like launch catacombs. That one I didn't even want to look. Halloween screams. For some reason, Japanese garden sounds was quite haunted. It's made
it makes
me
you feel weird. Yeah.
But it has like scary monster or scary sounds or peacefully death. I'm like, what is that? A lot of these things are they have macabre, and they have like units of density that are ready to feed on people feeling weird. And there's like Gregorian chants, or I found this information, and it's called like filter bubble. And Chief has talked about something in other forms called pigeons, and they're either people or entities. Please correct me. People or entities that tend to just tell you whatever. They're like yes men. They like, oh yes, you are Captain Marvel, or yes, you are the master of the universe, or yes, you can do any,
you're the greatest of the great, or whatever. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So it says filter bubble. Say, what's the open filter bubble? Nobody likes being told they're wrong, and with filter bubble, that never has to happen. It's essentially a virtual yes man. Open it up and then tell it what you believe about absolutely anything at all. It's not really listening. Alexa will then respond with a firm affirmation of your views so you can remain safely in your own personal echo chamber. You are so right. Yes, we know. Thank you very much.
Yeah, literally, it's a app that supports a person's psychosis. So, we're talking about pigeons and individuals who want to be something that they're not. But, I believe that I am the greatest thing walking, but the pigeon said, yeah, you are the greatest thing walking, but those people, they're too stupid to realize it. And when individuals get to a certain point of insanity, which I have experienced individuals doing that, they'll be out on a freaking balcony screaming at the world, telling them that they know the way. And they're saving Gaia, saving Earth, and all of this. You fools! And to the point they've gotten so deep into it, they can't even see themselves. So, the system supports insanity. It creates insanity, as a matter of fact. Because there's all these contrary things that you learn and that you hear through your life here.
Like just recently you did a post about competition and compassion. And those are opposite things. It makes people crazy.
Yeah. Because someone thought that they can embrace competition and compassion. And I think you're showing the
Yes,
the
I
post.
am.
And there's a, showing the post, and that it was inspired by not just this one person doing that. There's been a few others who would send comments and saying, yeah, I like that, but I still going to believe in this too. And I said, well, if you can explain it to me and debate with me on it, I will show you how wrong you are. I don't lose debates, definitely not on this subject. And when they're challenged, you don't hear from them. But we generally delete those types of comments because we don't want them muddying my waters with their nonsense.
Actually, there hasn't been any comments.
Not in a while.
Yeah, a good while.
Yeah, the one guy, I'll do this and I'll do that too,
Yeah.
Or, some others will, give me a compliment, but then on this part, yeah, he's okay here, but I don't believe this. Well, let's talk about it. That's how you figure it out. Because there are individuals who think that they're really, really super intelligent because the system says you've gone through our system, you've swallowed all of our crap, we give you a gold star, you're a success, you are brilliant, you are a genius. And then they run up against someone who thinks outside of the box, there's a problem. So
Most often we get people who want to try to talk to you personally, but the support team has to tell them to go watch the forums first, and then they stop trying to talk to you.
well, some are stuck. We got a few pretty stubborn. They go, hello, again.
Yeah, we had a witch try to ask for a session, and then the support team sent them the forums, especially about witches, which is Cinderella, and she never came back.
Right, she never came back. Yeah.
NSTHA, when we reviewed first.
Yeah. So there's a lot of individuals who've been damaged by these concepts of Satanism, mysticism, New Age, and so on and so forth, and they want to interact with me as a comrade. I'm no one's comrade. I'm not, it's not me standing on my high horse or anything. It's just from experience and trying to talk to people for decades and finding that nobody can understand what I was saying. So I just went about my business and did my thing, and this is the result of it. So I was a person who was chatting. Actually, when I was a kid, I was always putting people above me because I felt weird here. And I felt like I was the only one that didn't know what was going on in this world. But of course, after decades, then I realized they don't know what's going on in this world. I'm going to research in my way of researching where I would get ridiculed. You think too much. Why do you want to think about stuff like that? Why do you want to talk about stuff like that? So I just got, into my own space, and I kept on with what I came here to do in the first place. And I came up with answers. My logic is logic. If I move your energy and remove things, and I tell you it's a consciousness, guess what? I know what I'm talking about. Well, the doctors went through the system. A system that doesn't want you free, doesn't want you to know anything. Who needs an intelligent chicken? Just stay in the freaking chicken pen and wait for us to come and slaughter you and eat you for dinner. They don't care. They don't want you to be aware. A system that benefits from the lack of enlightenment will never support it. They're looking on media, and it's frightening because people are programmed to depend on something from the system for everything. Even when it comes to things having to do with health or whatever. But I have to admit, I like the, when it comes to food and health and so on and so forth, there's more accuracy there than in other things where they're trying to tell you how to evolve or be more balanced and so on and so forth. But again, when it comes to food, they don't care because, they can give you some healthy something, then you hand it off to somebody who's oozing their toxicity, oozing their whole history of denigration and anger and disappointment, and they're got their hands all over your food, they're sweating all that stuff in there, and then here, enjoy. So anyway, I'm kind of moving, well, as I usually do. I go where you know, the feeling takes me.
Would you like to do Alexa definition of psychosis?
Okay, we can, before we start the unit for, you know, for this session, there's a definition of psychosis. Yeah, Alexa, increase volume. Okay. Alexa, what is the definition of psychosis?
Psychosis is usually defined as a mental disorder characterized by symptoms, such as delusions or hallucinations, that indicate impaired contact with reality. For more, ask me to give you more definitions for psychosis.
Give me more definitions for psychosis. I have to say Alexa first. Alexa, give me more definitions for psychosis.
I have one more definition for the noun, psychosis, any severe form of mental disorder, as schizophrenia or paranoia.
Okay, but basically simple, you know, straight to the point.
Yeah.
Is there something else you think?
It was
or
just
we can
part of the features that she can do. She can do a lot of
Yeah,
all kinds of features.
Yeah, she can define things, you know, find definitions for things. You can get synonyms. She will spell things for you.
Internet search.
Internet searches. A lot of things is kind of like dicey about the unit is that there's certain things that you'll ask for her to do that will be kind of simple, but they'll want my location. So in order for you to do this simple thing, you have to give me your location. And then we most of the times always get, no, don't do that. And that's for my own reason. I don't know as far as you guys, but I know for my own reason, there's a lot of, you know, there's always been like watchers and things like that when things got rolling with me. So they may not pay as much attention to you on the same level that they pay attention to me, but I guarantee you that you're being observed. And that's what the containment's about, keeping these things at bay. While you're trying to move around in this zone and follow me through this maze to get to a point where you can actually free yourself. So anyway.
Okay. So, well, I think we should move on to the questions that clients submitted.
Okay, then we can retire. Yeah, we can do that. We can retire the unit.
I'll pull the cord out.
Okay.
That way she doesn't turn on randomly.
Yeah, you don't need the table to be
Whatever
moved
you like.
or whatever?
Should I move it?
I think you can.
Okay.
Just move it to the other side. Yeah. That way, if you have to, you know, go down, you have to start kicking again, you know.
Yeah, I tried really hard not to.
Yeah, you did. You did quite well.
Thank you.
Didn't break anything.
I didn't break.
Okay.
Okay, so, one of the first, there's a lot of questions submitted, so hopefully we'll get through most of them or all of them. So here we go. How you do one thing is how you do everything.
Oh, these are sayings or quotes or whatever. That's literally a program to lock a person into just like a tunnel vision, that there's only one way to do everything, when that's not true. You know, and you probably ask that question because it doesn't feel right to you. Because each situation calls for their own unique way of dealing with them. And for example, each client, I have to deal with each client in a different way from one another. So that's where a lot of the fakes have a hard time, because they have a scripted way of doing things. You know, you come in by the book, you do this, even if it's, you know, this supposedly alternative, but alternatives with books, you know, and they start telling you this is step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, and so on and so forth. That doesn't work, and that's why a lot of these folks don't have any juice, but even people who do have some juice, they only get but so far with it, because I would say having to do with the post that you posted this early this morning about who told you, you know, who in the hell or who in the F told you to, you know, to think. When we can tell you, or Ms. A can do it
No
Sorry.
problem. I'll get it right now. And the hashtags that you put, Chief, were really good. Let's see. I'll get that for you. It had to do with the system
Right.
today. Okay.
Okay.
This one.
Well, let me, you ready?
Yes, ready.
Okay.
So it says the system says who the F said you could have thoughts. Why think when we can think for you? And then it says here in the hashtags, it says thoughts are controlled, repressed, restricted, and minimized. Thoughts have been there's lots of limitations and limited by family, church, educational system, big G, friends, friendships, authority, relationships, dictatorship, hierarchy, media, movies, fame, fantasy, entertainment. They're all telling you how to think or don't think. Let them think for you.
Yeah, and it's interlaced throughout this whole hologram, this whole simulation. Everywhere. So one might say, oh, fascist Germany or whatever other country that, that certain individuals are targeting as the bad guys. Oh, those people are really, really bad, but not realizing that they're living in it on every level. Schools, if you don't do what we tell you to do, you're going to get a bad grade. We don't want you to be creative. We want you to follow what we told you to, what we tell you to do. So certain individuals who have had experiences, even like myself, where as a kid, I was shut down after certain things like that, because my mind worked different. I just couldn't fit into this thing with the baby bird with his mouth open and just waiting for whatever drops into it, because I have faith in that system. I would get, I would say, ridiculed, by teachers and so on. That didn't last long, because if I went home and told the mother unit about it, she showed up at the school, so we kind of like backed off from that kind of stuff. But again, school systems, religions, government, friends, clubs, anything that has a hierarchy, is literally, you could say, is a fascist situation, is a fascist system.
And Chief, would you say that what's really crazy is that whenever someone accepts the system thinking for them, then they're all proud that they've been trained by the system.
Well, because it's like little kids like to be rewarded. Toddlers, this is toddler world. Toddlers like to be rewarded. So maybe the toddler has some common sense. And let's say, pull that cat's tail. Or even in some cases, go out there and shoot that animal. And, I don't really, you're weak, okay, boom, good boy.
You get candy.
Yeah, you get a gold star, and I'll speak favorably about you, until the next test.
You get this piece of paper that says you graduated.
Yeah, all this stuff is going on, whether all these people, if you bother to look at what's going on in the world, you're not too afraid of it. All these folks' houses falling into the ocean, into rivers, landslides, fires, the La Palma volcano. These guys, I think, it might stop. All of a sudden, now there's a tidal wave of lava.
Oh, it's tsunami.
Yeah, a tsunami of lava, never, ever experienced in their history of experiencing volcanoes.
Fast moving.
And guess what? Yeah, fast moving. Guess what? When it burns your house, everything that you thought was really special goes up in flames, which means it was all an illusion in the first place. So we can go.
Next one. Until recently, I hadn't noticed how common drugging someone is in movies or TV shows. For example, in Ready Player One, a man with the clock overweights Mal to knock him out. Is this programming to normalize drugging someone, and also to try to say that it's even sometimes for their own good?
Yeah, I would agree with that. That is a program that desensitizes you to something having to do with intruding on another person's consciousness and what they want to do with themselves. So it's about accepting. There are cultures that accept the abuse of women. You know, they said, hey, you know, why are you, you know, beating this woman who you claim to be your wife in public? What's wrong with you? That's what we do here. Oh, next one.
Okay, so this is another like quote kind of thing. Trust the process.
Yeah, trust the process is, it goes again with the quote, you know, the system says, you know, don't think, just do, you know, follow the process. Follow our little rule book of, you know, step 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and so on and so forth. So that's another one that has to do with, you know, the program of telling you not to think. And even to the point where they say, isn't that better that you don't have to think about anything? I've met individuals who are really, really knee deep into the church, and they literally, you say, okay, well, how about this idea, some really interesting idea about something, and that makes a lot of sense, and they scratch their head, but they're afraid to agree with me. So they'll say, and even with individuals that I've talked to who've had friends like that, and they would say something like that, and they'll say, I have to go and talk to my pastor to see if it's okay for me to believe this. Yeah, yeah, well, you've been in the cult, you know how that works. Yeah.
Or a lot of times, like most Christians that I knew, they didn't even know what the Bible had said, or and then I would bring up this verse, and then they would be like, I would use it in a certain way, and I remember telling the mother unit, why do people have to pass away when they're like, you know, 50 years old, 100 years old, in that way, when there's lots of stories where people in the Bible that they die at 980 or 1,000 years old, and she's like, oh, you think too much. That's a common phrase.
Yeah, you think too much. It's like, I don't have an answer for this. You know, this book that I have dedicated, with her, dedicated her whole life to.
Yeah, the truth, the
Yeah.
good book.
Yeah, the good book, the truth, and so on and so forth. But there's stuff in there that you can't figure out. That doesn't make sense. So I look at that. It's like, you know, again, I connect everything because they're on the walls. Someone that you're interested in, you know, like guys and women, you know, interested in the opposite sex. Oh wow, she's really, you know, she's really good, she's cute, and so on and so forth. And you know, she seems kind of funny or whatever. Well, that's a date. And then you go out for a little while, and then there's a glitch. Sometimes it's a glitch early on that either this person, you know, likes to eat with their hands and the mess or whatever, but she's cute though, man. So let me weigh all the other stuff, you know, against that. Or something will pop up with a guy who has a major anger issue, but he's putting on the act so he can pull you into his lair. You know, and you know, and the person, the female, like, oh, or the, you know, or whoever's interested in him, oh, well, that's kind of hot. Oh well, you know, and some said, well, I can fix that. So it's about ignoring the reality of that, or the possibilities, and I should say, investing in a fantasy that you saw in a movie, read in a romance novel, saw on a TV show, you know, and whatever other media, you know, romantic music and so on and so forth. So anyway.
Yeah, I mean, you were talking about how just telling people to just tell people that it's better to say that you're an alien than to be human, because a lot of these people who try to talk to Chief personally on the social media platforms, they want to relate to Chief, you know, on human standards, or like just any other guy they ever knew.
Yeah, because, you know, to tell you the honest truth, after decades of dealing with that shit bores me, man. You know, look, here's what I know, here's what I know, here's what I know. I said, I've done a lot of research, and I have original thought on top of it. I'm a master puzzle solver, so I can take pieces from all over the place and make it logical. But they want to come in with their little book of rules and steps, and you know, and so on and so forth, and say, hey, let's sit down together with our books. I said, I don't have a book. Well, why? I said, look, you know what? I'm an alien, okay? So that way I don't have to talk to you about this stuff. You'll never understand how I formulate my thoughts or how I function. Because people are trained into linear. I'm not trained into linear.
Yeah, I mean, there was a client, she hasn't come around for a good while. And I remember telling her, like, look, I don't own the chief. And you should have seen her eyes. She got all excited, like, girl, you don't know how to deal with a man. I'm like, you're crazy.
Get out of the way. I'll show you how to
Yeah,
deal
yeah.
with this
I'm a
man.
homeless guy.
Yeah. You know, and it's just, again, it's fantasy that a person doesn't look at, even think about a person's history, really. You know, there are individuals who say, I don't want to know how many relationships you had before, before me. Because they don't want anything to disrupt their illusion. That, there's another one, are you a co-star in a relationship or an extra? So there are individuals who aren't looking for a co-star, they're looking for an extra. Just be what I think you should be. Try to fit that. And there are actually individuals who actually try, because they have low self-esteem, try to fit the bill of this other person and immediately starts to put them above them. And then after a certain point, you're disappointed if you're there. And some people find out 5 years later, say, holy crap, this person's an idiot. And I thought they were a genius.
But they try to fit the other person into the box that they have for an ideal man or ideal woman.
Oh, yeah.
And that's very disappointing. And I recall that people, we would tell people that we've known each other for 10 years. And then they would, I remember women would be like, oh, that doesn't matter because it's love at first sight. Let me show you how I work my stuff. I'm like, okay, I'll just let you learn the hard way.
Yeah, that's why, I throat punch witches in a heartbeat, because that's my experience in the past. I was married to one who deemed herself to be something of a witch and had these little witch friends and so on. And when the divorce went down, boy, did the spell start flying. But I managed to just get through all of them. These folks, I'm a proud witch. I'm a white witch, is a witch, is a witch, is a witch. I have oodles of stories about so-called white witches. If you're doing spells on other people, you're not light, you're dense.
Mm-hmm.
And even the witches, I want this guy. I'll just do this spell because he doesn't know what he wants. What I want is what he wants.
Wreck-It Ralph.
Yeah, here's a spell. Yeah, another Wreck-It Ralph scene. So yeah, I have no patience. I don't give a shit if these little individuals who buy into the witch thing think it's great. I'm telling you the truth. I'm telling you what I have experienced. That's why it's great to be mature in this world. That's why density doesn't like people to be happy about maturity. You're supposed to learn as you're here. You're not supposed to have your head up your butt watching whatever on the TV, wasting your time not thinking, letting the system and the TV and whatever else think for you. So anyway.
Next one.
Go ahead.
See the magic in everything.
See the magic in everything, which means see the magic in everything, including a turd with glitter. That's a magical turd with glitter. That's another nonsensical thing that I've heard in the past also. As part of the system programming, shutting you down and trying to make you say, well, this place sucks, the roof leaks and so on and so forth, but there's got to be something magical in it. So folks will try, they put up little posters in their, their little dilapidated building and so on and so forth to try to mask the reality that they're living in a dump. So.
Next.
Yes, we can go.
Be the light.
Yeah, be the light is a slogan and a catchphrase. It's like individuals who, it's like a mantra, you can say a mantra, but what does that mean? If you really want to get down to the nitty gritty, tell me what does that mean, be the light? Be good. Okay, what do you consider being good? Look at everything holistically, not in this little box where you're kind to puppies, but you hate, the people down the block or whatever, because they have a nicer house or whatever. So it's just another empty mantra, empty catchphrase, like a lot of commercials with the Nike, just do it or something like that back in the 90s or whatever. It's just commercialism. For those who are spiritual light, who are lost, and don't even understand what enlightenment even looks like or smells like, you know. So,
There's a lot of different names for Satan, and one of them I think is like Angel of Light, I believe it is.
yeah, you did. Yeah, we did do that research, and there's a saying for Satan as angel of light. You know, but isn't there one for their favorite, the J Man, where they call him something that's not quite as light
Oh.
as well? We weren't planning on actually touching on that, but if anyone's curious, we'll go back and find all of this stuff. This is stuff that we researched last year, having to do with religion and relating it to the yin of yin story.
Well, there's a lot of people who say that like Jesus and the devil are brothers and all kinds of weird stuff.
Yeah, right.
So I don't know that particular information yet. Maybe next time.
Yeah, but anyway, we can move from that to,
Okay.
to the next thing.
Okay, so the next one is what's meant to be will always be.
Yeah, in other words, don't try to change your situation. Just accept it. Plain and simple.
Is it like karma?
Karma is another one. There's a lot of variations, to it. But yeah, what will be, will be. And I never bought into that even when I was a kid. No. But again, it's just another way of just saying, don't try to change things. Be a good little chicken.
YOLO, you only live once.
You only live once, which, again, that's for people who don't do any kind of research or even any broad thinking on a certain level. And I'm not going to knock anybody because they've been programmed out of thinking. Most people are out of thinking expansively anyhow, because it's not hard to think expansively in a box. So then they shut up for a little thing.
Well, you were saying that you only live once has to do with some people, it's their excuse to do reckless things.
Right.
Very, very reckless things, or get other people involved in the reckless things.
Yeah, well, misery loves company, insanity loves company too. So they'll like, hey man, sheer rock climbing without any, safety equipment is, you're living, Some people's concept of living is taking all kinds of, ridiculous chances and so on. Some may, do something a little more passive. They want to just travel and see as much as they can see, which is nothing wrong with that. But the reality of it is that consciousness is eternal for the most part. So, you live through many scenarios. So this, what we call an expression, why I call it an expression instead of a lifetime, because it's just a segment in my total existence. So this segment, the segment before that, the segment before, and individuals who believe in past lives, which are true, but I call them past expressions. And I use past lives sometimes if individuals don't understand, my terms, the terminology that I use. You are continually expressing. The problem with this realm is that it gets pulled into this anomaly, and next thing you know, you're just going in this circle of misery. Even if the scenery has changed, it still smells the same because you haven't really moved anywhere. You're just experiencing another expression and being called another lifetime or whatever, but you're locked down in a cycle that is literally interfered with your universal trajectory.
With the illustration that you explained a good while ago, where density is like a circle that gets tighter and tighter and tighter, and the boredom, it increases, but in universal expression, it's upward and outward.
Yeah, because even individuals who've had numerous expressions in this realm, they start to get more and more restricted. They don't think much. They're really hard to even get through to, and they're just, compressing. And when I talk about individuals compressing into the point where they're like what I call calcified black ooze, it means that you're just existing. You don't have any essence left enough to, to do anything. So you become something benign on the other side. I equate it to just being floor tiling or a wall for something, and so on and so forth. Even more graphic things that I would say about, they just use you for whatever. You can't move, you're just there, you're just aware of existing. And it's something that density loves. It loves helplessness and despair. So.
Thank you, Chief. If not now, when?
If not now, when? Yeah, it's like, don't think too much about, certain things. Just, again, it's almost like, you only live once. Not now, when, I said, well, when I decide, that's when.
When I say when you were talking to people who are like used car, like car salesmen or like people trying to sell you a
Oh, real
house.
estate, yeah, people,
Yeah.
salespeople, yeah, like the
Buy
pressure.
it now or else it will be gone.
Yeah, and, I adopted that a long time ago, where, looking to buy a house years ago, and none of the houses were really fitting my bill, and I said, well, this one's kind of nice, it's not bad. Okay, what is it, make a, put a bid on it today. I said, I'm not sure if I want to live here. Well, it may be gone tomorrow. I said, well, then it'll be gone tomorrow. It means that, it wasn't meant for me. And then the salesperson goes, it was just like,
Error.
yeah, error.
Not computer.
You're supposed to like start sweating that, oh, I might miss something good. But I say, if I'm not feeling it, in the way that I want to feel it, I'm not going to buy it. So car salespeople, so a lot of sales folks, it's about pressuring people into doing things that they, and not allowing them to think about it. I say, I'll sleep on it. And they just throw their hands up. Okay, I can't seem to move this guy, but they try this, try that. I say, I'm going to sleep on it. And then eventually, at the end, I say, if it's, if someone else buys it, it means it wasn't meant for me. And when I did buy my first house, I had co-op before then. When I did buy my first house, I slept on it. And decided, I had a lucid dream where in the dream said, this is the place. And when I came back, I said, yeah, okay, I'll put the bid down. The building, the house was still there. But guess what? After I put the bid down, someone else came in a day later wanting to, to outbid me. But the guy that I was buying the house from, I guess he, liked me that much, where he said, no. I've already made this deal with this person. I'm not going to go back on it. But even if if they had come in and then the house wasn't available, I would just say, I guess it wasn't meant for me. Moving along. Yeah.
The next question is, how quickly are consciousness reincarnated?
That depends. That's the end of that.
You were telling us, Chief, that.
Okay, I can go into more detail.
I hope you have that. So, like, today you were saying something that was really cool as always, and it had to do with that fear is what drives people to desire and hunger for definites. I want to definitely know that I'm going to make it. I want to definitely know that this or that. But it's like you said, the first stage in enlightenment is realizing that
Journey never ends. And one of the ways, again, people are programmed and conditioned to want definite answers when in pre-conscious universe, there's just a wealth of possibilities. So, definitely, as Ms. A was saying, that wanting the definites has to do with fear. So, it's like the fear of the rug being yanked out from under you. They set you up and then they yank that rug. I need a definite. I'm afraid of going this place or going that place. That's why I say accidents are the setup of density. Because we've seen some really bizarre accidents. And your head turns sideways, like, that's weird. That does not seem natural. Even certain clients have had bizarre accidents. I've had a situation, I think I've talked about the whole thing about accidents, where I could feel an energy shift in the past when I wasn't as aware as I am now, before a serious accident would happen. Just a split second, I feel something's wrong, and then boom, something's wrong. So, again, how long is someone on the other side? It depends. Not everybody is the same. No one's, there's no cookie cutter for consciousness. The Supreme Consciousness universe doesn't work on cookie cutters. How boring would that be if everybody was the same? Had the same experiences? What a boredom. So,
Chief, you were talking about how homogenous thinking, homogenous expression is yin of yin,
yeah.
and that it's like a wall that people's minds are put into, thinking like, oh, there's one standard of beauty, oh,
Mhm.
there's one standard of living, oh, there's one true religion, like in my case, only
Mhm.
Christians is the true religion, it's like,
Mhm.
and people want to put people into that box, even if they're not really into the homogenous kind of thing, but it's definitely a prison.
Yeah, if you're not too damaged yourself, pay attention to people who buy into something as is. Unmovable. That's the way it is. Check them out. Open up, get a little empathic. Don't they seem a little crazy or a lot of crazy? The system drives people crazy. They fit them into things that they're not supposed to be in. It's like taking an elephant and pushing it into a shoebox. And then convincing you, if you don't fit in that shoebox, there's something wrong with you. Instead of, why are you trying to push something that doesn't go into something where it shouldn't be? But that's the system.
And like all right hands, no left hand people. Like they force left hand people to do right hand things.
Yeah, or they ridicule left-hand people, if they can't, use. So certain individuals will teach their kids to be ambidextrous so they can use both, which is kind of cool because they say, well, I'm not going to tell you to not use your left since that seems to be what your leanings are. But because of the system, you won't get ridiculed as much if I train you to use your right as well. And I have some family members who, were left-handed, and the one sister taught her daughter, who was left-handed, to also use her right hand. Now, did that make her a genius? No. This means that, less harassment from the system, another thing that the system can't harass you about. Okay.
Thank you, Chief. Can consciousness be reincarnated into technology like Siri or what?
Yeah, and from our demonstration, I get a definitely yes. Because so many things are possible. Again, if someone says, that's impossible, look at them. I see a little insanity there. Because how do you know what's impossible? Have you been everywhere in the universe? Or have you been everywhere on the planet? They sit in their little room, in their little corner, and they take in the information from the system of limitations. Yes, I got a gold star because I took in all the limitations and I regurgitated it back, to the teacher, my dense teacher, and he gave me a star. I'm on the honor roll. I'm on the dean's list. So I can stand there. No, that is impossible because the system didn't tell me that it was possible, or the egghead scientists didn't say that it was possible. Individuals who say that can't exist. But there's a story that I really like that I put together decades ago. So if the history of the planet is the way that they say it, or in their books, Europeans were here, Asians were there, Africans were here, Asian people were there. And they have these type of animals in their areas and so on and so forth that they're familiar with. And a Czech friend of mine years ago gave me this really old book to read. Actually to look at because it's in Czech, I couldn't read the shit. But he had these pictures of when the first Czech explorer went down to Africa and saw a rhinoceros. And he couldn't fathom what the hell it was, but because of the shape and the little plates, platelets or whatever on the rhinoceros, he drew a picture of it and he turned it into like a tank that had bolts. Because that's the only thing his mind can fathom, that this must be a machine. Look at it. So what about the first European to see a zebra or a giraffe? Those are things you don't see everywhere. So there's always something that people have never seen before. And then they're even talking about things that they're seeing on the ocean that they've never seen before. They call new discoveries. Almost as though it didn't exist until they laid their eyes on it. Therefore, it's impossible until the scientists see it. Later for those guys.
Or sometimes it's right in front of them and they say it's impossible.
Yeah, until
It's
it
right
becomes common
Yes.
that, after the 50th zebra walks by, okay, I guess I have to concede it,
Are there any cases, Chief, where they would want to kill that anomaly because they don't want people to think that possibilities exist?
Well, the system would. If they want to lock you in a box, they cover up all kinds of stuff. Then they call people conspiracy theorists who actually have the dope on it.
Right.
Of course, there are, they have their plants of conspiracy theorists who are really, that wild crazy. And that's just to diffuse the things that are real. So they'll throw somebody in there who will, say all kinds of weird things. I don't have anything come to mind yet, because there's so many weird things that are real, but they'll, come out and just, lie about this, that, and the other. And it's just basically the system's way of diffusing something that they don't want people to see.
Be afraid of new things. Like on Wreck-It Ralph, the surge protector, he was always like, new is dangerous.
Yeah. And I remember this guy, Roger Moore, he used to do these documentaries. I don't know if he's still doing them or not, because I haven't been paying much attention to the media and stuff. And he called a certain group scared chihuahuas. And the system made them that way, programmed them that way, so that they're afraid of everything. So in the United States, if they wanted to distract individuals, they would say, there used to be a time in the 70s that people from the Middle East, certain people from certain countries in the Middle East were considered to be honorary white people, even in South Africa and in the United States, until they decided that they wanted to, a new evil empire. And then all of a sudden, these guys are evil, and would have some Yahoo go up and literally kill someone who they think is from Iran, but the person was from Pakistan, because they're so idiotic, they don't know the difference between other cultures, they don't give a shit, and they're lazy asses. A whole lot of lazy asses, Wreck-It Ralph's on the planet, who just follows directives, An Asian guy walking the street, this is a more recent one, and because of the corona thing, and this corona's from China. Some guy's riding his bike, this guy's walking in England, dude ditches his bike, comes up and starts punching him. He said, what the hell's your problem there? You know what you did. People who follow the directives of the system are closest to insanity than those who have doubts about the system. So anyway.
That's a true logic. Sorry. The next one.
Okay,
Let's see. Did you know your purpose? This person is, they think that you've had human expressions before, and they would like some clarification about if you've had human expressions.
yeah, I think what they're thinking, like a human expression, like what you're experiencing now. No. I've had many expressions in the universe. I've had some humanoid expressions in the real, not in the hologram. First time in the hologram, first time in the simulation. So no.
I've talked about that in a lot of the first few forums in the women's forum talked about Chief and this what Chief just said. So if you'd like to check that out, it's the next one is what is the North Star?
A hologram, plain and simple. Doesn't mean anything. The real meaning of things in the universe are up there right now, and I would say that you're going to find out more and more what's real as time goes on. There are these videos of people, of these guys following all these so-called natural disasters from springtime. Some of them started at the end of last year, and some even started before then, who are saying they don't know how this year is going to end. They're literally worried that they literally don't even know if they're going to be able to survive on Dunia. The point where, and that takes something for the system to allow individuals to get, to say, I don't know what's happening.
Well, they have been trying to, if you like to muzzle
Mm-hmm.
they've been downplaying the magnitude numbers just so people won't feel like change is really here.
Yeah, that's true.
Earthquakes and stuff.
Yeah, we noticed that in this last week that there's some 9-point-something earthquakes, which are really kind of, I guess, what I'm unheard of. Bali's, has been his ass kicked. The island of Crete in Greece is decimated by earthquakes. They literally say what we call apocalypse. They're using terms apocalypse now. And that was totally decimated.
Yeah, because it's interesting. They'd be like, oh, it was reported 9.4, but actually it's 4.9.
Yeah, literally, bad extremes. And I've seen this before because I've been around and paying attention. Just like I talked about, these flus and things like that they used to come up with, over the last, let's say, 5+ decades.
And if people actually did the research and looked at several videos where it says 4.9 earthquake, you can see the level of devastation. You can see the level of shaking versus like a 6.
Yeah, you can compare it with other videos where there are higher number with on the Richter scale earthquakes that shake a hell of a lot more. The only place you can't really tell that much is Japan because they're pretty astute
work
about.
really hard.
Yeah, they're real hard workers, man. Work at these to the max. Where all their high rises are earthquake proof. I'd say up to a certain point.
Mm-hmm.
So they have like a really strong earthquake, and they're videoing, and they're just kind of like,
yeah.
like this,
the news, there was a news crew, and they're just like, yeah, there's an earthquake. Oh, so how do you feel about that? I'm like, oh, it's okay.
Yeah, it's almost like run into the building in Japan instead of sitting out on the street.
They were sitting on, in front of the camera and didn't even move inside the building.
Yeah.
Whenever
Yeah, they didn't start running to
No.
doorways and things like that, like they have to do in a lot of these other countries. Japanese is pretty amazing and pretty weird at the same time.
But like you said, the system is betting that people won't do the research or put in the effort to compare, to see the level of destruction, so that when the system says, oh, it's actually 4.9 instead of 9.4, they just believe it.
Well, that's the post that we put up, early in the morning. The system says, who the hell told you you can think? But we can think for you. We'll tell you what's going on. You don't have to look. But I don't trust, so I look. I didn't trust when I was a kid. I was raised to not trust the system when I was a kid. And I'm glad. Because they tell you, they'll say one thing, I said, there's got to be something else going on. And if you look around and pay attention and you remember things, you start to be able to put some pieces together to get out of that tunnel vision, out of that fear. I'm afraid of knowing too much. Like knowing too much is going to kill you faster or something.
You talked about that in the Monsters Inc. review, just the last West Coast Ask the Chief about how fearing the whole concept of change, and also fearing that they know too much.
Oh, right. Oh, you mean when
When Water News is like, you know too much, that means
Yeah,
they're gonna
no, I-
banish you or kill you or
yeah, well,
whatever.
that's another program. That's true. I'm glad you brought that up. That's true because that is you see that everywhere and through a lot of things. I don't want to know too much because if I know too much, the system's gonna bump me off. You know, if they say, "Oh, well, bumping you off doesn't frighten you," how about torture? You know. So during this stuff after the World Trade Center, and they had the Guantanamo, and then they were purposely leaking out stories of how people from the Middle East were being tortured in those places, and just really graphic stuff and so on. It's just to scare the populace. You know, so if you talk against the government, they'll send you to Guantanamo, and make your life a living hell, as though you didn't come from a living hell already. It's just a degree of hell, I guess.
In mob scenarios, they say the best way to control, like if they're a pirate, or example, the best way to control the crew is to make an example of a few of them, to make it really brutal death, or make some kind of torture, so that the rest of the crew will comply with the captain or whatever. And that's exactly, would you say?
Well, I think that's the societal. That's definitely how it works in society. But if you get individuals, it's like, you know what? This isn't the end of everything, and some, certain, I say, situations or scenarios where someone's in war and then they get caught and they're supposedly high up on the echelon. They have, I know this was something that was promoted in media, in movies when I was a kid, Nazi Germany, when the tide turned, and everything was going, to pot for them. Certain officers would have the cyanide pill and then out. Or Japanese culture is very big on taking themselves out. So if they're willing to take themselves out, what's the point of trying to catch these guys and torture them? Said, "Oh, we're coming after you? Oh, okay, very much. I'm done." Bad example because they're bumping themselves off.
Chief, can I read the post that talks about how this whole concept of how they control people with the natural news?
Sure.
Okay. So just recently, Chief has a post here that says, "A contagion of courage is spreading across America. All across America, pilots, firefighters, police officers, sheriff's deputies, construction workers, office workers, and many other people are saying no to the vaccine mandates. When groups of informed Americans rise up and say no to the genocidal vaccine tyrants, the tyrants are eventually forced to back down for the simple reason that you can't run society without workers. Courage is contagious." So as you can see, what Chief was talking about, controlling the masses by making an example of a few of them and then projecting it on media, but people aren't buying it because they're saying, you can't do this without us, the whole crew. The captain can't run the ship without a crew. So he's not going to kill everybody.
Well, yeah, some people started thinking, actually thinking. To tack on to that, what we saw, I guess it was this morning also, what was going on in France. I think it was in Paris.
Yes.
In Paris, who are going against these mandatory vaccines, where there's so many people on the street, you can't see the street. And this is what's going on now. So you understand the system controls everything. And even one of the things where I wanted to post that, and then Facebook wouldn't allow us to put the link. They said to protect their Facebook viewers or something like that. I said, what, to protect the people who are coming to my page to see what I have to say? They're pretty much prepared to see, to take in or whatever, or look at whatever I'm posting. If I'm posting something, it means something. There's nothing dangerous. It's about information that's dangerous to the system. They managed to stop us from being able to boost Black Panther. They've never tried that hard. That one, we failed on trying to boost that because of what I said about that, the whole thing, about what the system was doing. And they were betting on a lot of black folks said, oh, look, there's black people. It's a black movie. I said, look at the producers. There are no black people in the production. And that's where the money is. So, yeah, you got a black director or directors and writers and so on and so forth, but they don't have control. That's a usual thing. They bring in some stooges to do something and say, well, if you got the right color, okay, you know, those suckers, they'll fall for it. And guess what? A whole lot of suckers did fall for it. Some of them were family units of mine who fell for it. But I was always suspicious about it because of effing Stan Lee. I was a comic book little maid. You know, actually, my older sister's unit said, "Oh, that jerk." I said, "What do you know? What do you know about Stan Lee?" About yeah, no, he did comic books. But you know, I was in Hollywood, doing some business, and I was going to a photo booth, and they have these photo booths in the parking lot or whatever. I'm walking across. She said, Stan Lee almost ran her over. He didn't even brake. She had to jump out of the way. And the guy in the photo booth, hey, you know what that is? That's Stan Lee. He said, oh, I know, it's an asshole. So there were folks that, Stan Lee, he's altruistic. You know, people thought that, which was kind of funny. I'm taking it off in a little different direction. I'm going to bring it right back. Black folks who thought that Bill Clinton was the first black president. Those who were around that time, you know what I'm talking about. Been bamboozled. And that's why they won't let me boost that. And it's not, I don't, like belligerent and so on and so forth. No more cursing than we usually do on these forums. But the system plays everyone. They have it set up. Everyone's blind. Everyone. And I do mean everyone. Even those who think they're benefiting are blind. So anyway, I'm going to move back from that. We're going to go. What do we have
I'm just showing them the that we were rejected from being able to boost the Black Panther movie review, and it's the only one we couldn't boost. So.
Yeah, the system hates viable information that makes you think outside of the box, outside of their box. So again, we can go move on from that.
We have 1 minute.
Oh, got 1 minute left.
Let me ask the last question.
Okay,
That's
if they can ask the next question, we might go over a minute or so,
Yes.
but okay.
So this question is, what happens to people after they transition? Do they end up in a different realm that isn't dense, or are they forced back into this realm? Or does density keep them in an in-between realm?
Well, had to do with what we're talking about with I talked about with the hologram and everything enclosed in an anomaly. They capture you, bring you in. You never know, their thing is not to let you out and free into the broader universe, into a better existence. It's always to recycle you back into another miserable, trying, stressful, fearful existence. The only way out is what's going on right now. So, the concept of I am intelligent, I'm a genius, I'm bright, it's all in what is it, a thimble or in a nutshell. True genius is out there. The concept of genius here ain't genius. It's about how much of the system information you can regurgitate. And then they regurgitate, they walk around, and like, how's my money? No, I need is a relationship. Give me a relationship.
Walk right into a spell just to get it.
Yeah, walk into a spell to get it. And then if I got all of this money. I ran into guys who were well-heeled when I was in the men's group and did a few men's conferences who joined because they thought that making a lot of money, and I think I might have mentioned this before in another forum, making a lot of money was nirvana. It was going to solve everything. and they found it didn't solve anything. They just had a nicer place to live in while they were suffering, or a nicer car to drive while they were suffering. So anyway, I think that's good.
Okay, so I'll go to the just a little bit more. So it's like, what they said, after you transition, do you instantly get educated or become aware that you are a consciousness or aware of, what's going on in that afterlife?
You, from those individuals that have been talked to who transition out, a number of them, because nobody's the same, no one has the same experience, but there are a number of them who said, wow, oh, there isn't another side. Or there isn't a heaven with, milk and honey and all this. We're talking about Western dietary stuff. Milk and honey for me, that would be like poison because I'm lactose intolerant. Or there isn't a hell. Where I came from seemed like more like hell than where I'm at right now. But this is pretty sucky too, because they're about to segue my ass right back into this shit. So they become aware that they've been bamboozled, but because of how they have this thing set up where even with clients, I didn't realize how compartmentalized memory was until I got so many clients that I got all these different variations of how the system shuts down memory, where people can't even remember what happened to them in this lifetime. What makes you think they're going to remember what happened to them in the last expression?
And Chief, please correct me if I'm wrong, but even though they have more awareness, some of them, they still have the noise and the attachments and the cloudiness that comes from being in this.
Yeah, that awareness is not really awareness. True awareness is universal awareness, not the hologram of stars that you see. The separating from the energy of Supreme Consciousness universe, that is what you're supposed to be part of, but not while you're in this. So they're not enlightened, really. It's almost like they just become aware, oh, I was lied to, but I don't know what to do now. Because I'm so damaged, so shut down, so manipulated, that I don't even know how to get out of this trap. And all they know is that they've been ejected or transitioned into another room that's inside of the same chicken coop.
You talked about that in the Soul NSTHA movie review, how consciousness have been beat down, and a lot of times when they transition, then they just like those who come, density that shows up to take them in to be recycled or whatever they want to take them to, they just kind of go with them.
Yeah, well, Soul is a bit, yeah, it has some interesting things, they're good at like mixing things up to make it confusing. But the part where they're standing on the conveyor, the conveyor, just waiting to just go into this room that says the light, and not knowing because they've been trained in their experience here, to just stand in the queue. That's what we do. We stand in the queue like everyone else. Don't make waves. The guy said, why are you, why aren't you questioning this? Why should I? The system says, why in the hell should I have a thought? They think for me. Isn't it easier that way? And they think it's easy because they never use their, they stopped using their brains a long time ago and become convinced that, oh, this is better, just go along with things. And then not even realizing that their lives suck. Or they realize that it sucks, but they're in denial about it, or they just try to find a distraction to keep themselves from realizing just how sucky their existence is in this realm. And with that, I think we're gonna shut it down. Okay. So anyway, thank you, everyone, for your questions. Really, I like that. There are those of you reaching. You're all reaching outside the box. Very promising. And again, thank you for participating in the 21st NSTHA Forum. All right.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye. Bye.